Hey, so I decided to give a new brand of filament a go. I've been pretty vanilla lately with brands such as Inland and Hatchbox, as well as my wonderful 15-pound roll that I have on the wall there. That's from Coax, a local supplier. But Enotepad was kind enough to send out a kilogram of filament here, which is a white PLA, and I'd figured I'd give it a review and send it out. Starting with the spec sheet, it claims a dimensional accuracy of plus or minus 0.02 millimeters, which is a pretty extravagant statement. When looking deeper into their product sheet on Amazon, we see a plus minus tolerance of 0.03, which seems more doable. But taking a look with my caliper after printing some, I've gotten around plus or minus 0.05 millimeters, which seems in line with most filament's actual capabilities. For some reference, Filament is one of the very few to claim that plus or minus 0.02 millimeter tolerance. Hatchbox, a very well-known and reputable brand which sells many kilos of filament, claims plus or minus 0.03, which is a reduction from the far more achievable plus or minus 0.05 millimeters, which is honestly pretty good for its own right. Once you get outside of that, it gets worse and worse from a printing perspective. It's my belief that if you're claiming a tolerance at that plus or minus 0.02 millimeter range, you should follow Prusament's guideline and provide records of the actually measured tolerances with those kind of claims. Like, don't just say it and then sell your product on it. So I do have some qualms with that. So the spool comes with some very basic information on it here. We have a kilogram of plastic, the printing temp range, which is the 30-degree range. So I'm not exactly sure. I printed this at 200C, and the basic color as long as a barcode. As for packaging, this came in a vacuum sealed package. It looks pretty good, but it's not a resealable package. I very much like Inland and Amazon, some of my Amazon basic filaments, I forgot about that, comes with resealable packages, which I greatly prefer because you can close it right up after you're done printing with it, and it helps make it so that you don't have to put it back in the dehydrator right away. As for the material itself, it's a bit more brittle and seems kind of weaker to me than what I'm used to. I wasn't very pleased with the layer lines in this one here, as well as the cracking once I got it in use. There is a little bit of warpage here. That's my fault. That's not the filament's fault. The filament stuck pretty well, but even without it being forced onto the thing that this is forced on, it still was splitting ahead of time just from me playing around with it here. In comparison, a similarly printed part, I can't get it to break. And this is another PLA. This is the Coax PLA, and it just seems much stronger, and which is what I'm used to. So this is, I would say, a little bit more brittle and a little bit weaker overall and lower layer bonding than most of the filaments I print, which is the Amazon Basics, the Inland, and the Hatchboxes. So it might just be down to the resin choice, but it is definitely different PLA. It honestly reminds me of the original PLA brands that came out when I first started 3D printing 5 or 6 years ago, which have definitely increased in printability, usability, and toughness since. But that's, the natural progress of industry. So this is a bit of a throwback here. The parts, I've even seen issues here with removing it off of the bed. So this crack here was actually because there was a small flange coming out this way, and as I pried it off the bed this way, this piece, this portion here, actually broke. And that was kind of weird, honestly. I definitely didn't expect that. Adding to my thoughts that this is probably a different resin that I see used in the Amazon Basics, Inland, and Hatchbox, just a different one altogether, is the temperature that it prints at. So this one prints at around 200C in my E3D V6 all metal. It does do that without issue, so this is definitely a good filament to print with if you're looking for that. Those other PLAs print at around 210 to 215. So it does maintain the standard glass transition temperature of around that 60 degrees C, and it sticks very well to my PEI bed at that, and I doubt anyone would have any problems with bed adhesion. As long as my bed is level, I have no issues with adhesion whatsoever. It prints very well with or without a parts fan. So all of these prints here, to put it through its torture test, were actually printed without a parts fan. So even though that these aren't perfectly tuned here, it definitely does not look too bad with stringing and other issues, even for more complex features. So that's pretty nice. I do really like that. Adding into that is just the decorative side. It is definitely a good low-cost filament if you want to print decorative stuff, for sure. I really actually like their white in particular for lithopanes. So here's just an example of what I have printed here, and it definitely, even though it's a white, it's not supposed to be translucent or anything, it definitely has the effect that I want from it here. I was very, very pleased, and this is compared to the dyes that they use in Inland or Hatchbox white, which is a bit more, a bit darker and more opaque than this one is. So I'll definitely be printing mood light covers out of this, and maybe looking to do some more litho painting on those. Maybe I'll add a pattern to the top side and get a cool textured look. Who knows? Overall, I'd say that if you're looking for a filament to print translucent decorative objects that really weren't going to see impact or wear, this is a good lower cost filament. There's nothing that really distinguishes it from the rest of the filaments, but the good news is the general quality of 3D printer filament as a whole has risen significantly over the past 5 years. So you can pick up most brands in the big 3 types of material, so PLA, ABS, and PETG, and they'll perform pretty well on your machines. The dimensional stats that they have on their page conflict, and they don't actually hold up to their claims by my measurements of either number. They're definitely more in the range of that plus or minus 0.05. I wouldn't recommend this filament if you're looking to print semi-functional objects that were still made out of PLA for whatever reason. Maybe you're worried about toxins or, things in the air. Look to the other brands like that Inland, like that Amazon Basics, like that Hatchbox if you want a little bit more durable PLA. That's it. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you have questions, comment. If you want to see more in the future, hit subscribe. I enjoyed putting this video together, and I look forward to doing more of these kinds of reviews in the future. Thanks for watching. Hasta la bye bye.